Okay, so today's class is about transactional analysis. Now, this transactional analysis has been developed by whom? By Eric Berne, when in the 1950s. Two important things that we need to know about Eric Berne is that first, he was initially a psychoanalyst, right? He was influenced by the theories of Sigmund Freud, right? And second is he wrote a book which is called as Games People Play. Now, which games are we referring to here? The psychological games, which is a part of transactional analysis. Now, transactional analysis has certain basic assumptions. What are those assumptions? First is people are okay by nature. That is, they tend to have, or the most adaptive belief that they tend to have is I'm okay, you are okay position, life position. This is a life position we are talking about, which is another concept of transactional analysis. Second is everyone has capacity to think. Third is people decide their life script early in childhood. And fourth is these decisions that they make regarding their life script, it is not fixed. ठीक है, जैसे साइकोडायनेमिक थियोरी में होता है that whatever is designed from your childhood, it stays fixed, right? Our behaviors are being influenced by our childhood experiences. This is what psychodynamic theory says. But here what is being believed that though it is like decided in the childhood, but still it can be changed, right? Now, first point is like we are referring to the people. It means that we have a humanistic orientation. Second, everyone has capacity to think means cognition, cognitive elements also it has. And people decide their life script early in childhood. Psychodynamic or psychoanalytic perspective also it takes care of. And these decisions can be changed. What can be changed? In cognitive behavioral therapy that we know, CBT therapy, what do we say? We say that the negative automatic thoughts of a person can be changed. So it means that this has cognitive behavioral elements as well. Now, let us look at what is the structure of transactional analysis. What are the important structures or components of it, right? So it is based on ego states, right? Berne has told that we operate, see, transactional analysis, what does it focus? It focuses how we interact, how we communicate with each other. It studies the interpersonal relationships and communication between two people, right? Like if I'm talking to you, how am I talking? It says that I'm talking you in the form of an ego state. Now that ego state can be that of a parent or adult or a child, right? So we have three ego states as per Berne in transactional analysis. Now parent ego state, we'll look at it in detail. But parent ego state, it is of two types. One is critical parent or controlling parent, and second is the nurturing parent. From the words itself you can guess how they'll be, right? And adult ego state is something which is like based on here and now functioning, which is very much reality oriented. जैसे कि parent ego state is more of morality oriented. Adult ego state is rational, it's logical, right? It's reality oriented. And emotions also, we see when we compare adult and child ego state, the differentiating factor is emotions. Adult ego state, they are emotionally neutral, they are not flown by the emotions, whereas in the child ego state, emotions play a very crucial role, like they are affected by emotions. Now child ego state means what? The feelings and behaviors are replayed from the childhood, when the childhood experiences take a dominating role, right? And their behavior, the way they are communicating is influenced by the childhood experiences. That means they are behaving from, or they are interacting from which ego state? It's the child ego state. So now child ego state is of three types: free child, adapted child, and rebellious child, right? Now one thing that we need to see is, I have told you that there's certain similarities between Freud's structures of personality, which is id, ego, and superego, and Eric Berne's transactional analysis, the ego states, right? But they are not equal. The concepts are not equal, right? The ego states, now you must know the difference between a state and a trait. What is state? State is something which is temporary, right? Temporary, which is focusing. I'll ask you, what is your emotional state? It means how are you feeling right now, ठीक है. For example, in the state rate anxiety scale that inventory, we measure anxiety as a state and we measure anxiety as a trait. What is anxiety? Anxiety as a state means how anxious you are now, how you're feeling right now. But anxiety as a trait means the enduring stable personality of an individual, like how the feeling of anxiety influences your everyday decisions. ठीक है. तो which is stable, enduring, and which is like long, chronic, it's trait. ठीक है, trait. Whereas state is temporary. Now, parent, adult and child is not equal to this. This is similar but it's not equal. ठीक है. What are the transactional analysis का ego states are behavioral systems. But Freud का this is personality, structures of personality. Id, ego and superego are related to personality. But is ego states related to personality in any way? No. First important thing you have to remember is ego state is not at all related to personality. In Freud's it's related to personality. In transactional analysis, not related to personality, and it is just a behavioral system. What is it? A behavioral system. Next. Right now let us look at what is parent ego state. The parent ego state means the way we have copied or we have imbibed the way parental or authority figures have behaved with us during our childhood. ठीक है, that we have copied and that is our parent ego state. When we are talking as a parent ego state, whom are we trying to replicate? We are trying to replicate our own experiences with our parents or authority figures, right? It is introjected authority. Introjected means it is like being influenced by that authority. Now types of parent ego state are critical parent, which is also called as controlling parent. How they'll be critical? They'll be like judgmental. ठीक है, टोका टोकी करना. They'll be judgmental. Why they are judgmental? Because they have a certain set of rules for them. They behave according to the rules. They behave according to the morals. ठीक है, and they always use words like should, must. ठीक है, always, never. All these words they use. So critical parent. Now and like you should behave properly. That is wrong, this is right, you should do this way, you must follow these rules. Now nurturing parent, how is the nurturing parent? Nurturing parent is more of like who is very caring, supportive, protective, encouraging, right? A softer side to the parent, a less critical side to the parent is the nurturing parent, right? Now what is the trap here? Often confused with superego. Now it is correct, the parent ego state is similar to superego state, but superego is what? Superego is intrapsychic. Ego, id, ego, superego, those are all intrapsychic, they're internal, right? But what is this ego state? Ego state is observable. It is the behavior which is observable. So first thing that we have to differentiate is first is that here the ego states are not related to personality in any way. Ego states are they are states which are behaviorally observable. They are behavioral systems. And second thing is Freud wala concept is intrapsychic, and this is behaviorally observable, right? Next, adult ego state. Adult ego state mein you have to remember one thing, it is reality oriented. It's based on the here and now functioning of an individual, right? And when it is here and now functioning, it doesn't relate to the past in any way. We do not look at what happened in the past. ठीक है, what happened in the past is child ego state, right? Which we'll discuss after some time. Adult ego state is behaving in the present. The one who is very logical, the one who is very rational, ठीक है, and who behaves like a computer. जो data feed हो रहा है, मतलब it is operating very realistically, ठीक है. And what are the characteristics? The one who is objective, reality oriented, problem solving, emotionally neutral and evaluates facts, ठीक है. Emotionally neutral is one important thing that you need to remember, that this person, it is not that he is not influenced by emotions. Emotions से फर्क नहीं पड़ता, or the person is very impervious to emotions. No, it is not like that. The person is not affected by emotions but is related to emotions. The person can weigh the emotions and take emotionally neutral decisions, right? It does not, the person doesn't let the emotions control the decisions. So this is adult ego state. Now adult ego state does not judge, right? Because it does not it does not, who judges? The parent judges. Why? The which parent judges? The critical parent judges. So when it comes to judge, it is critical parent who judges. Does not react emotionally. Who reacts emotionally? The child ego state reacts emotionally. Processes information from the parent and the child, right? It is the mediator and the most adaptive ego state. Which is the most adaptive ego state? Is the adult ego state. And one of the goal of transactional analysis therapy, okay, when we are trying to analyze the conversation between or the communication between people, then what do we want? We want adult ego state to be functioning between two people. When two people are talking to each other, it should be adult ego state. So we try to strengthen the adult ego state in transactional analysis therapy. Now third is the child ego state. What is child ego state? Child ego state is, it refers to our thoughts, feelings, behaviors which are replayed from the childhood. Childhood means the past. Okay? It is the emotional archive. It means all the emotions, whatever happened with us during our childhood, it stays with us, kind of, right? It affects how we communicate. Now there are three types of child: free child, adapted child, and rebellious child. Free child is the natural child, right? The one who is spontaneous, very creative, playful, curious, laughs, enjoys. It is the natural child, free child, not bothered a lot. Okay, next is adapted child. Adapted child is the child who is able to adapt, right? Who is compliant, who is obedient, who is people pleasing. The one who is a people pleasing will try to adapt, right? That's why he's a people pleaser. Okay, obedient, maybe because he wants to comply, right? And rebellious child is the one who is opposite to the adapted child, right? Rebellious child means who is oppositional, who is defiant, who is resistant. Okay, so these are the three types of child ego states. Now child ego state, what are the characteristics? Okay, what are the characteristics of child ego state? How it is separate from adult and parent? First is, a child ego state is the one which is creativity, which is the source of creativity. If adult asks, how do we do this problem? This is coming from, how do we solve this present problem? This is coming from an adult ego state. Now we can just think about something very creative. We can do this thing, we can do that thing. So this is coming from a creative space. So when it is coming from a creative space, it is the child ego state. Emotional richness, right? Emotions are emotional archive, emotional richness. All these are related to child ego state. And intimacy. Now what is intimacy? We'll discuss later. Okay? But overactive child is the one who has a lot of impulsivity or dependency. Now just try to understand, this is a comparison between TA ego states and Freud's id ego and superego. First, what are TA ego states? Behavioral systems, and it is what? Ego state means it is temporary. It means it can shift from moment to moment. Yes, it is not fixed, it's temporary. Fixed kya hota hai? Traits are fixed. These are all observable, but in Freud it's intrapsychic, it's internal. It's observable and it's behavior, whereas it is structural psychic agencies and hypothetical constructs which are intrapsychic, not directly observable, just like our ego states. Now, what is TS states? TS states that a healthy personality will develop when there is a flexible movement among the ego states. We are behaving according to the situation. We can change between the ego states. But when there is an ego state fixation, we are always talking as a child. We are always talking as an adult. Wherever we want to take some rational decisions, or when something we need to behave as a parent, we need to be critical of something, we say no, it's fine, we are like very rational and we'll take this. No, there you have to, for example, a child is doing something wrong. At that time you have to behave as a critical parent. You cannot be in your adult ego state and say that no, that's fine. No, not every time it works, right? So when does a healthy personality develop? When you can shift among your own ego states, right? You can behave according to the situation. And psychopathology or disorders, when do they occur? When there is an ego state contamination, right? Or there is fixation. Ego state contamination means what? Now if parent believes distort the adult reasoning, ठीक है, तो पेरेंट का जो बिलीव्स है, क्रिटिकल पेरेंट वाला जो बिलीव्स है, ये नर्चरिंग इट सो मच दैट यू आर नॉट एबल टू टेक, you behave like an adult ego state at any point of time. That means your ego state has been contamination. There's a contamination. Or fixation means when you are just behaving according to one ego state, right? So parent is learned authority. Now we look at it this way: emotional replay, emotions and replay of childhood. Who is it? Child. Ego state. Logical. Who is logical? Who? Processor, computer. Who is it? It's a adult. Learned authority, authoritative figure who has learned how their authority figures or parents have behaved, ठीक है, and is trying to imitate. Introjective. Who is it? Parent.